space, not the planes in the sky, not the shipless seas, nor the vehicles on the ground.
Ecto Radio.
The ghost hunting badasses.
It's time to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of gum.
Only on the Supernatural Radio Network.
Beer-fueled, whiskey-filtered paranormal radio.
Okay, welcome to Ecto Radio. I'm the Hitman.
I'm Wicked Wendy.
And I am Zero Voorhees.
All right. So this week, what we got going on,
We got some interesting stuff.
well, we got Ghost Hunting Secrets. We're doing part 2 of that. Those live listeners that went, hey, I didn't hear part 1. Part 1 was a podcast only. That it was kind of interesting, actually. I was talking about the secrets of how to get into locations. This week, though, we're talking about things you really need to know. And it's kind of simple, really, if you think about it. You can either listen to what I'm telling you, or you can choose not to and do it, and then 6 or 7 years later, figure out that I was right.
Yeah.
So, this is just general stuff that's out there that people really should know. But it's amazing, man. I keep going, and maybe it's just the websites I'm clicking on, but I just find out.
Yeah, we told you to stop clicking on that.
I know, I can't help it. At Facebook, I look at the links, I'm interested in what our friends are posting, and people aren't getting it, man. So we got to go over this. And then a lot of people, they just don't know.
I saw some today that would just, I don't know if you've seen it, but it would totally crack you up. But I saw a car with a paranormal patrol magnet with a badge with a ghost in it. Paranormal Patrol.
Paranormal Patrol.
Yeah. Looks like a cop car and everything.
Oh. Well,
I should have taken a picture, but I was driving.
Oh.
It was hilarious.
I haven't actually seen one of those, dude.
I haven't either. It sounds interesting.
Paranormal Patrol.
Well, that's the way it goes. I wonder, is it something they made, or is it something that's being sold?
No, it's like one of those little stupid magnet things you put on your door to make your car a tax write-off.
Oh, my gosh.
So he's running around with, I'm into Paranormal Patrol.
Pull you over, got to give you a ticket.
I got to give you a ticket. There's a ghost in your muffler.
There you go. So, anyway, we'll get right into this subject here and kind of get it going underway.
Here we go.
A couple of things I really wanted to point out. The very first one, which is interesting within itself, you'd be amazed how many people do not know this and how many times it's still counted as being paranormal, is battery drainage. Batteries drain during an investigation. Everybody, oh my God, it's paranormal.
Yep.
It's not. Let me explain a little bit.
Crappy batteries.
Well, there's a lot of things people don't know. And the first thing is, at Walmart, when the batteries are dead, or if they're even in a warehouse, the expiration date comes. What they have to do, according to their own regulations, is they measure the voltage of each battery. And if it's within 70%, they can put a new born-on date, so to speak, and re-release them. So it is entirely normal to get, a package of batteries from Walmart. Say I'm getting the 2 AA's, right, for my camera. One could be at 90%. One could be at 72%. So you got to understand there is a natural difference. For a lot of people, think about it like if this was given to Mythbusters. Okay, the first thing they would do, control. So they'd get a whole bunch of batteries, they'd measure the voltage to see what the average is per battery. And then after that, they would actually get the camera and say, under consistent usage, it gets X amount of time out of the standard battery. So you have that, but there's also other variables. Cold and heat affect batteries as well. In fact, when I was in the military, all of our batteries used to have to be in the refrigerator. They had to be chilled to extend the battery life.
That's how my dad does it, too.
Exactly. And the same thing, heat will actually cause the battery to discharge faster. Those of you in Arizona, you're screwed.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So there's that. But how many people actually
bring a cooler
do that?
That put their batteries in the refrigerator?
Well, how many people actually take batteries and you just kind of like throw them in a battery box or a battery kit or a battery purse.
The junk
or
drawer or
battery.
something, yeah.
Right. I mean, you have
Yeah.
this pile of batteries. So you don't know what you're pulling out. And so if one drains suddenly, it doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be paranormal activity. You could have pulled a bad battery. But what makes that more in sync is because of the way that our team does things, where we're going into positive controls and negative. For in case you're listening brand new to the show and you don't know what I'm talking about, we go into haunted places which might really be haunted. We call those positive controls.
Right.
Then the team goes into the non-haunted places that we know are not haunted, and we call those negatives. I'm seeing the same thing in both positive and negatives. In non-haunted places, when the teams are in there, they're going to have the battery drainage issues. So battery drainage is not. But now let's apply common sense to this issue. Okay? Like, let's say we're jumping your car, Wendy.
Okay,
Not
let's
that
jump
way.
in my car.
Not that kind. All right, let's say, all right, so
Darn
I'm
it.
putting on, you put on your side of the cables, right?
Okay.
Positive, negatives, right?
Uh-huh.
What would happen if I put the black on the positive terminal and I put the red on the negative terminal of my battery?
You're going to have what is called reverse polarity meltdown, blow up your stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
Ruin your
Exactly.
In layman's terms, you just broke your stuff.
Exactly. Now think about this. The whole hypothesis behind this battery drainage is the ghost is sucking the energy from the battery. Somehow he's pulling this energy out.
Of course, Wendy would do that.
Radio show's over.
Quit derailing the train. He does that again, you get the cattle prod. It's behind over there.
Yeah.
Now think about this seriously. Right? Everybody pulling the energy from the battery. Somehow not hitting any capacitors, transistors, not hitting any other circuitry that would cause a short circuit. So the ghost is apparently a surgeon at manipulating energy.
Right?
Oh.
Pulling the energy out of the battery without accidentally hitting something else that would cause it to go.
Very
Second thing,
focused. Very focused, you would have to.
you guys, you talked on your cell phone a long time?
Yeah.
You ever notice when you feel it, you can actually
Hot.
feel the heat of the battery?
Yes.
It's hot.
If a ghost sucked a battery drive, this was an EMF detector, and I'm measuring ghosts, and the ghost actually did that, it would get so hot, you wouldn't be able to hold the battery.
True.
Draining it that quickly, it would be hot.
Yeah.
Right.
And you think about a lot of these
It's a lot of
recorders
physics.
and cameras, I mean, the battery compartment's right close to your hand. You would feel it. You'd be like, holy crap, what's my device is melting. Johnson, something's wrong. My device is melting.
It's melting. Biggie says that the moisture from the freezer can hurt the batteries. However.
That's why we said refrigerator and not freezer.
Not the freezer.
Yeah, so not the freezer.
refrigerator.
But
Don't
Thank you,
freeze.
Biggie.
great looking out, Biggie. Yes, sir.
Thanks,
yes, sir.
Biggie.
See, the freezer. Think
Yeah,
of,
and Biggie did work with batteries. So.
yeah, well, what I'm saying is think of your battery in your
Not
car
like that.
when it gets really cold. You know, so you can come out and sometimes your battery's dead. That's kind of the same effect. So, refrigeration of batteries, and that's actually
or the
controlling the temp. It's what it is. It's not so much the refrigeration; it's you're keeping them at a steady temperature, and it just helps preserve the life of the battery. But my point is, it's not paranormal. And so many teams, I see the reports, battery drainage. Obviously, there's paranormal activity. The ghost came in. And there went my power.
What happens when you have like 5 different cameras and 2 digital recorders all lose their power at once?
Called
does that
coincidence.
Aha.
Total coincidence.
I
That's
would
a
say
bad
it's a
batch.
coincidence.
Okay.
Really? You're going to write it off as just a simple coincidence? If we went to a...
You got to get near a microphone, and we can't hear a word you're saying.
That's right.
We have people in the studio. You guys got to remember, microphone or
Yeah.
Or nothing.
all they hear in the background is Carl talking real loud like this, and then
Anyway, this is Chance speaking. I was doing an investigation in Texas, and Biggie was actually president at the time. And one of the reports was a certain room. I won't go into any details, but I sent a team up there, and I had multiple battery drainage at the same time from different pieces of equipment.
it's still not paranormal.
Well, I'm not saying it's paranormal, but that's one hell of a coincidence to have and it was instantaneous. It all happened at the same time. So that's
Nothing. It's called a strange coincidence.
right on.
What
Thanks.
I'm trying to tell you is, think of, once again, going back to our method. If it was paranormal, we would only have it happening in the haunted locations. Why is it happening in the non-haunted locations? And the team doesn't know. So when it happens, it's a big deal. Oh, my God, the tri-field just lost power, and I just replaced that 9-volt. You guys saw me outside in the parking lot, and it just went dead. Well, I know that the 9-volt's been sitting in a battery kit in the car.
Since
don't
before the
tell me
day
how
you were
long.
born.
That battery could have been, Bob could have bought that battery 7 years ago, and it was in the battery kit.
I always got if the batteries worked, you wouldn't be here. I always got that speech.
Ooh,
It's a coincidence.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
coincidence.
dude.
If
But,
the
I mean-
batteries worked, you wouldn't be here? Where did
Yeah.
that come from?
My
It's
mom.
a bad joke.
Yes.
It's him derailing the show like he always does. Where's the cattle prod?
I'm
DB,
just,
I'm Zero, I'm warning you. Don't make me whip out
You
the
didn't
cattle.
tell me you had a cattle prod in here.
that's
From the
why.
last time, it was the only way to keep him. I'm trying to give out ghost hunting secrets here. And here's DB talking about, good thing my mom's dildo ran out of battery power, or I wouldn't be born. Come on.
I'm just putting more emphasis on the importance of batteries. That's all. Just re-immigrating the fact for you.
I'm sorry.
You know, a better battery is a better battery.
We tried that once before. It didn't work out so well.
Like we say, beer-fueled whiskey filtered. Apparently, some of us have had more than others.
Oh yeah.
And that generates the... Yeah, okay.
Whiskey and beer, too.
Okay, so
I
the
might
battery's
add.
pure coincidence.
I think it is a pure coincidence that they all would do it at the same time. But what I don't see is, when you're making a hypothesis, you can't give a half-assed hypothesis. In other words, okay, ghosts are doing it. Okay, next part. How are they doing it? And once you know how they're doing it, then you can replicate it. That is science.
Right.
If you don't know how and you're not able to replicate, it's an unproven hypothesis.
I have a question. Now, like TC said, if it all happens simultaneously, how would you be willing to just rule that out as pure coincidence and just a messed up chance that like everything decided to just bam,
All
and
at the
dead?
same time.
The only way, from a science perspective, we're science people.
Well,
we're
you're
in-
just talking about an EMP would just magically blow out all your gear.
Well,
but-
now an EMP could do that, but that would affect the instruments themselves. But the only way you could control it is you would have to take the batteries before you put them in, measure the voltage of each one. We all know they're all the same, because you got to remember, a power drain on a camera would be different than the power drain from the same battery in an audio recorder. Obviously, the camera's going to take more, especially if it's using a flash. Also, when you're with cameras, if you're going back and looking at your picture after you've taken it, more power usage. You shoot a little bit of video, even more power usage. So basically, what I'm telling you is if you're a serious paranormal researcher, investigator, whatever you want to call yourself, if you want to prove this, you must use controls. You're going to have to implement a control so you can prove that it is paranormal related. And in this case, the only way, if you're interested in this battery drainage thing, is you're going to have to measure the voltage of each battery before use, document it, put it into the instruments, and then you're going to have to see a significant drop that would be unnatural. And so that way, with the control data, you can prove that it's happening. What I'm saying is, it's happened so many times in non-haunted places, and I've had more than one instrument going out. I never had everything, but I've had like 2 or 3 go out within seconds of each other. But we're not in a haunted place. You know what I'm saying? So it makes me go, well, it's happening in normal environments. What's to say that...
But how do you know that the place isn't haunted just because nothing's happening at the moment? You can't really say a place isn't haunted if you don't have proof, and you can't say a place is haunted if you don't have proof. So who are you to
Touche.
say it isn't haunted?
Well, the fact is, if we're doing it that way, scientific method says ghosts don't exist, period. Our whole thing is to try to figure out bullshit or not.
Well, true.
And that's really what it is. So we have to have a control standard, and the control standard would be normal. I already got one, dude. I was prepared. He was looking at my beer. You got to get the microphone.
Get a microphone.
Just stand up, grab the
Chance.
microphone,
All right,
give me that
Or
microphone.
you could come up here.
Here I come. Chance again.
I share.
I want to go back to the battery drainage thing. Okay, I get what you're saying, and I agree 100%. But this just wasn't like a camera and an audio recorder. This was 2 cameras, 2 audio recorders. I mean, that's just, I'm not going to say that that's paranormal. Of course not. But man, that's one hell of a coincidence for that many pieces of equipment. All the batteries to drain, and the batteries, before I sent the team up, okay, my camera battery's full. It was two digital cameras and 2 recorders, and it all went dead.
Well,
that's
look,
all I'm saying. That's a hell of a coincidence.
I'm sitting here and I'm looking at our chat room, and we have another guy involved in this investigation. So I got a question for you and for the person in the chat room.
Okay.
Did anybody have a cell phone on them
Yes.
during the investigation?
During the investigation, did anyone have a cell phone?
Yes.
No, not to my knowledge. If they did, our protocol, when the Texas Charter was still up and going, was you turned your cell phone totally off. So,
Okay. Did
Biggie
anybody
says-
have a cell phone and they were able to power that cell phone back up?
Not that I recall. I can't tell you yes or no because that wasn't what I was trying to focus on during the
Biggie
investigation.
is saying, "Gosh, not me," and then he says, "Yes, cells off."
The point I'm making is,
Right on.
if it's an area effect phenomenon, then it should be everything. Meaning, if someone had a cell phone,
Any
it
electronic,
should be
yeah.
dead. And they shouldn't have been able to power it back on again. Did you have flashlights?
Did you have flashlights?
Of course we had flashlights.
Did the flashlights go off?
No, none of the flashlights went off. And we also had stationary infrared cameras set in that room because that was the main report. None of those went off. Only the handheld devices that the team that I sent in at the time went dead, and that was it.
So why would they say, oh, well, we don't like flashlight power?
You got a point. I'm just curious.
Why
It's
didn't it
just a
drain
hell
the
of a
batteries out of
coincidence to me.
flashlights when they're going to be just as close to the instruments and other things?
But that's always been my thought too. I mean, is it because it's DC? I mean, we
No,
leave
well-
the lights off. Couldn't they use AC if they could use DC? I don't
No,
know.
well, it depends.
Because one's just alternating and one's
The whole
natural.
thing, what I'm saying is that batteries are, it's a chemical process that produces the power.
Right.
And when you're dealing with a chemical process, it's not as efficient as, saying, plugging into a wall where you can get a constant draw, which is a good point. Why in the hell F with that? Go up to the wall socket,
Suck it out.
get full, burp, and can carry on your own way. I'm just saying it doesn't seem to be paranormal. In my opinion, it's not, because testing in normal conditions hasn't really done anything, and the hypothesis isn't complete. We have to put in how would they do it without screwing up the instrument, because they're pulling the power out supposedly. How is it coming out of there without jacking up whatever it is you're holding?
And that's a good point too, because you'll have batteries in your pocket that you replace the ones that drained from, and they're okay. Wouldn't they?
Don't you know that will also cause batteries to lose power?
What? Carry
If
them
a
in your
battery
pocket?
hits a coin and that coin makes contact with that positive pole, it can actually bleed the battery power.
Really?
Or worse, if you get the batteries and they're jumbling around in your pocket, you get the positive connecting to a negative pole, it can also drain batteries. So you never carry batteries in your pocket. Bad one.
Oof. Well, I do it because you're on a ghost hunt. You have to have them somewhere. What? Do I put them down my shirt? What? Down my pants? What?
As long as there's no coins there.
Um,
That sounds like the only stipulation, I guess.
Well, I'm just saying you should have them. You should keep them in a package until you're ready to use them, and then the only thing going in your pocket is bad batteries.
See if the
Battery
battery
What's
pack.
stays in the
science? We have to
package, I
keep
won't
track
say
of
it.
everything.
I'll
If
let
you
it.
really wanted to get asinine, like
Wow.
control freak, ghost hunter.
Well, it's not as bad as an acid
All right,
10.
my batteries are dead in my camera. Okay, let's
OCD
log in.
ghost hunter.
We're logging in the date and the time. Wendy's adding new batteries. What's the expiration date of those batteries? Blah, blah, blah. We're writing that down.
Right.
Okay. Real quick, bring over the voltmeter. Okay, let's measure it. Okay. X amount of power. Okay. Boom. Then you're covered.
Well, then let's do that. Why can't we?
And
just
we haven't
have-
been doing. Yeah, exactly. We haven't been
Why don't
doing
we
this.
do that?
Why?
Because I've just told you. I think it's Lord of Horse Pookie.
But how do you know do you have proof that it is? Do you have proof that it's
It's not
Pookie?
happening in the negative controls.
There you go. That's
The other thing is I use a lot of, well, I don't know about you guys, but when I'm out like at the zoo with my chitlins, my kids,
Your chitlins.
I'll be using cameras, and I've had the same thing happen, at the zoo. I've had things happen at rock concerts. I'm telling you, ain't no go. Now I could understand. See, that's the
I
other.
mean, ghosts would go to
Ghosts
rock
would go to
concerts.
Iron Maiden.
They would.
Yes.
They would.
Yeah, but
So you're probably surrounded if there are ghosts.
but why
you would be
why get
surrounded.
my
Because
battery?
Iron Maiden kicks that. Oh,
Why get my battery when you can go up to Bruce Dickinson's cell phone and suck out his? And you be, dude, I got Bruce Dickinson's power.
Well, because
That's what a fan would do. I'm just saying.
depends
that's
on
what you would
how
do.
old the ghost is.
I ain't
Thank
sucking
you.
nothing to Bruce Dickinson. I like him, but not that much. Just saying.
Sure.
All right, so that's one thing. I'm saying it's really not paranormal. When you look at it logically, there's not enough of a hypothesis to go further. And it's kind of like when we were talking about quantum physics. Me and Holly were doing that. Me and Racer, sorry. And we were talking about...
Yeah, who's Holly? What?
Racer. And we were talking about making all these hypotheses, and quantum physics is kind of not a great idea because there's no unification theory or a theory of everything that would connect it to Newtonian physics.
Right.
So if you're doing quantum physics, which is math, the math dead ends because you can't connect it to causing a Newtonian effect. To make that more simple, ghosts, what are they? Okay, they move things, disembodied voices, apparitions, things like that. Newtonian. We're saying a quantum effect causes these Newtonian things. You can't make that bridge yet because the hypothesis isn't complete. You don't have that theory that connects the two. And it's kind of the same thing with this battery drainage issue is that, without the hypothesis being expanded, this is how they're doing it. You can't connect it. And if you can't connect it, we could log it, but guess what? People have been logging it for ages and ages. You could go back to, I remember back in like 2000, we would pay attention to this. I can guarantee you there's reports on SGHA on our website where, even Bob was like, the battery power died, and it was entered into the report. So it's something we've been looking at for a very long time. So I just don't
Eddie
think
is the mascot from Iron Maiden.
Eddie, yes.
Oh, okay. I was like,
Wendy's like, who's Eddie?
Biggie is saying Eddie, and I'm like, did Eddie come on, or who's Eddie?
Eddie is...
Who's Eddie? Show me Eddie.
That's Eddie right
That's
there.
Eddie right
That's
there.
bobblehead somewhere in time, Eddie.
Yes. Okay, so there you go. So let's move on. That's enough of that one topic.
Okay.
Battery drainage, I really think it's a load of horse crap. Don't waste your time doing it because, now somebody comes out with a brilliant hypothesis and can demonstrate how it works, how they can do this, I'd be open to hear it. Okay? But knowledge as it is right now, I wouldn't say worry about documenting it. Don't count it as being paranormal. We just had a battery die. Last investigation, as a matter of fact. You guys remember that? We went down to the Valverde battlefield not too long ago, did we not? Yeah. And there was an issue with the battery dying. Is that a positive or negative control? Oh, wait, you don't know that. No.
Oh, there he goes.
Power mad, sorry.
Now you got him on his Skeletor thing.
You never know, man. Did Cody and Bob figure that out a long time ago? Or not? But we got a cool EVP. Is it really haunting? Remember that. That's science. That's the way it works. Okay. Enough of this.
Moving on.
Let's talk something I think we'll all agree on a little bit more. EMF detectors.
EMF detectors.
EMF detectors. Don't screw around with them.
No.
Now, there is a way. Now, let me go over all of this first.
Okay.
If you're doing serious research involving electromagnetic phenomenon, you need the waveform and you need the frequency.
Okay.
Those are what identify what kind of energy it is or what it's coming from.
Right.
If you have that, you can say, oh, whoops, that's a CB signal. We don't need to record that.
Because you can tell by your frequency.
Right. If you're using an EMF meter, they all have a range. For example, like the Sperry, which is the nice fancy digital one that everybody says is calibrated and you know whatever. Its ranges from 30 hertz to something like 2 megahertz. So that goes off. That means something between those two ranges causes this thing to give a reading, and the reading is how powerful it is. But we don't know exactly what it was. The frequency does that.
Right.
And that means it's completely worthless. But there's another way. Some of you guys might have seen these E-pods. Have you seen the E-pod?
No. What is an E-pod?
An E-pod, Chris Fleming used some of these things, and what it looks like, well, we don't actually have anything that looks like it. Well, our bullshit button looks like one.
Okay, here's our E-pod.
Okay, so
but I
the
can't take it
E-pod.
off.
Yeah, we'll rip off.
Okay, I ripped it.
Okay, so what it is, it's for those of you who listen to the audio podcast, it's a circle and it has a little light on top. And what it is, it has an EM sensor on the inside. When it goes off, it causes that to light up. Okay? Like that. Okay. So, by itself, worthless. We don't know what set it off, but what would be cool is if you're putting these in a grid. Let's pretend like we're at the St. James Hotel and we got that long hallway on the second floor. Right. So we go up there and we put one down at the very end. 10 feet away, we place another one. 10 feet further down, we place another one. 10 feet further down, we place another one. Now, how freaky would it be if this one goes off, then a couple of seconds later, the next one goes off, next minutes later, and that. So you're obviously seeing it's something is causing this thing to go off very gradually. A CB signal or something like that, they'd all go off all at once.
Right.
This would say it's a small contained field and it's getting close enough to trigger it. Or the bird cage. Instead of, let's say, the bird cage is kind of a rectangle, elongated rectangle. Put 3 across and like 4 rows of 3. And then you set up on the stage and you watch, and you can see one go off, and the one over here goes off, and the one over here.
Oh, that would be awesome.
You see what I'm saying? And that kind of situation with video, we don't even need night shot because you can see the light through a regular camera.
Light going.
That would be interesting.
That's really cool.
You would have a control.
And Chris Fleming has these? Chris Fleming has these?
You can buy them. They're E-pods.
Okay.
Ecto Radio, I friended a company that's making them, and they're making some cooler ones because they're made of light tubes, and as the level of EM increases, it actually lights up the tubes. And I think the reason I think that would be cool for something like this grid thing is because it would be easier to see from a distance rather than just a little light coming on an E-pod. I think the E-pods are running like $120 each. And these things, I think, were like 60, so they were more affordable.
Right.
But see, that's where you could use it to your advantage. And what's making it weird, if you understand electromagnetic phenomenon, is that this would have to be a tiny little field because it's not triggering everything in the area. It's just triggering one. And then it's obviously moving because it's triggering other ones. And that you can make a good case that there is something unusual about that because as far as we know, they're not these small little contained EM fields floating around that would cause something like that effect. So you got to think about things. So as a meter, it's worthless. But as something like a grid system, it might be a little bit more significant. So
okay, sounds interesting.
I'm just telling you, avoid the cheap meters. The K2, unfortunately it's not a great meter. A lot of things can set it off. But I tell you what you do is you tell, hey, listen to Ecto Radio. They said K2 is crap. I'll buy yours. $3. Put it on eBay. Get all these K2s. Get the kind with the switch. If you don't have the switch, you're going to put a quarter in there, and then put it on a little stand and set them up with all the ends facing you, and you can make this grid system a lot cheaper.
That's true.
Now, granted, and you're going to know if a radio frequency hits it because you'll see 2 or 3 go off. Maybe not the whole room, but 2 or 3. The ones closest to the signal will.
Right.
But once again, what you're looking for is the effect of something very small moving about. So there you go. It's just the way you view it. So I want people to know that. Another big one. We've talked about this on a lot of shows, but it has to be on this one. Those temperature sensors don't frickin' work. They cannot detect the temperature of air. They don't work that way.
When you shoot it, it hits the wall, and that's what you're measuring the temperature on the wall, but not the air between
Actually,
you
it's
and
worse
the
than
wall.
that. Read the instruction manual.
Mhm.
Most of these are used in food service. So like I say, this is one, and I want to get the temperature of this baked Eddie decoration.
Right.
All right. I would get it, and they tell you 6 to 8 inches. Push the button, measure the temperature, because the light coming out of there would be probably about the size of a dime at 6 to 8 inches.
Yeah.
I aim it at that wall, which is about 10 feet away. I'm now measuring a 2-foot area. It's not designed to work that way, so it's going to malfunction. It's not going to give you an accurate reading. The more distance you're shooting, the bigger that radius it's trying to measure gets. Just like a flashlight. I shine a flashlight on my hand right here, one of the little mag lights. It's going to be a tiny little circle. I shoot it way over on that wall over there. Now we're talking a bigger circle, and it's going to malfunction. And the way it works is when it hits the surface of the object, the infrared light shifts, and that detector is able to detect the shift in light, thus giving you a temperature. It's actually a mathematical equation that it kind of does. But it can measure the difference and give you a temperature. And that's how that works. It cannot measure cold spots, period. And so the way we're using them incorrectly to begin with, as far as the distance, and then it's not understanding that, it doesn't measure air temperature. And I've seen these tests on YouTube. And this dude, he has give you an example here on my, in my, for those of you on video. I got my beer bottle here, I'm sitting on here, which is representative of a candle, right? And he's trying to shoot it over to prove that it can measure the air temperature. Behind here is a wall. So he lights this candle off, right, and he's going over there. Guess what the flame's going to do to the wall? It's going to raise up the temperature of the wall. Thus, he's measuring. See? It's the truth. No. Thermodynamics there, buddy. Come on.
Yeah,
Not exactly
there's
all
certain
cool like you
principles
thought.
you have to deal with in this life.
So there you go. So that's not always going to be, a great way either. But just keep that in mind. There is ways. Man, I've been drinking too much. The beer tonight is brought to you by Sam Adams, Alpine Spring. Have you tried Alpine Spring? It's good stuff. Good citrus.
Yeah, it is really good. I'm enjoying this a lot. It's very citrusy,
Yeah, very. It
Little
has
bit
a
of
citrus
orange,
aftertaste.
a little bit of
Yeah.
lemon. It's
Nice
very
little
good.
kick.
I kind of like it.
Finish as well.
Yeah.
Not so bad when you burp it up.
Ecto
later.
Radio just went beer testing 101, ladies and gentlemen.
Bob's asked needs to call with a beer review. He hasn't done that
He
in over
hasn't
a
done
year.
that in a lot longer than a year. It's been like 2 years.
Not yet. I think a year is in 2 years is in June.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So-
been a long
That's
time.
coming up quick.
And I used to love it because I'd go out and buy the beer that he said because, I trust Bob's opinion on things. He's got good taste.
Sometimes
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far either.
Good for you.
I haven't I haven't noticed.
he
any-
brought up moose. Have you ever tried Moose Drool?
Oh, yeah. Moose Drool is
That
the
is-
nastiest beer.
It
Just
is.
the name would not want me to.
Well, it's just
try
like,
that.
I don't know if anybody else in here is drinking Arrogant Bastard Ale.
Yes.
It's
Oh,
a
yeah.
stout.
It's very,
It's very
stout.
stout.
You got to be ready for that. That's like Moose Drool. You got to be ready for that. If you're not ready for that, it's going to eat you alive.
Yeah. So there you go.
Biggie has a story with Arrogant Bastard Ale. Well,
Don't get a microphone. I can't hear him.
you need to come up here or take Tiny's.
So
Yeah.
anyway,
He
moving
was-
down.
He was putting his thoughts out loud into the air.
So, yeah.
That's all.
All right. So no EMF detectors.
None.
No thermal temperature things. Another one that's bull crap. Same thing. Thermal imaging cameras cannot detect temperature of air. There's a lot of fake videos of a guy farting, and you can see like the fart, the
Yeah,
gas coming out.
yeah.
They did it for Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
For that skit they did.
Roger.
So
Roger.
that is faked. I mean, it's an effect. You can't actually do that. And a lot of people are using this to try to, say that, oh, well, they pick up ghosts. Of course, like a lot of things that's happened, this is picked up from watching paranormal television, what they do, and people have adapted what they do.
Fake.
And
Paranormal television is fake.
you know what you got to understand about the paranormal TV, though. I mean, I can relate to it in a way, and I think I've talked to some a lot of people that have done it. The pressure's on you to do something.
Well, yeah.
You know, they're using, what, $50 cassettes to record it. And here's the producer going, you know, okay, $50. Seriously, we've already shot 4 of these. We need something interesting.
Pay dirt.
So, you know, if it's, I mean, honestly, we'd be debunking 90% of what we're doing. How interesting is that? You can see the producer after a while going, seriously, guys, we need a ghost. Now, the big question is the group going along and saying, yeah, we'll fake it? Or is the crew going, screw this, we're not going to get a second season if this happens. You're the cameraman. Okay, I want you to put a black sheet on. If they don't know, I'm going to send them way off over there, and I'm going to have you run up towards the camera, run back, and we're going to speed it up, make it look like something went.
They just forgot to tell him to take off his Reeboks.
Yeah, that's it. Because they didn't know that obviously the people that are fans of this are going to be slowing it down frame by frame by frame.
Look at that.
And I think that's what initially happened, to be honest, on a lot of this. The initial Ghost Hunters, I don't think it was Jason and Grant intentionally trying to fake things.
Right.
I think what it was the camera crew doing it for the moolah. And then once they kind of found out, it's like, oh, crap, we're in this now. We're all in this boat. But that's, well, in the long run, they chose to side with that. They never came out and said, these bastards did this to us. And we're going to be, we're going to have integrity and tell you that we found out that they were doing it. You know, whatever.
Money
Sold their
talks
souls.
and BS walks, my friend.
Well, but see, it's also
Sold
an
their
experience.
souls.
TAPS was formed by their own admission, 1998. So they've only been around 7 years, so they haven't been around long enough to see everything. If I would have saw that shadow go up, I would have been, okay, who's the asshole with the sheet? Why? Because I've been doing it so long, I know that crap doesn't happen, ever. So I would automatically be suspicious, you know what I'm saying? So I think that was taken advantage of a little bit as well. But it's their fault. Me and Bob offered to help them. It's like, we've been around a long while, man. Some of the stuff you're doing ain't exactly right. We're more than happy to show you. We don't even want to be on the show. We just want to help you out for the good, you know. Never got a return email.
I don't think you will.
Yeah, we never will.
I wouldn't hold your breath.
But
on
now I'm so.
that and the one
I'm
you wrote
so,
to Tom Jones.
I'm so grateful now that
The
we
what?
didn't get a reply. I'm grateful we did not get a reply.
Well, there you go.
Because what had happened if we had lined ourselves?
Yeah.
2 things. It would have been one road or another. It would have got worse, and now we're implemented in it, or it would have got better. Okay, which would have changed ghost hunting completely. But I don't know. Yeah, I mean,
But we would have lost our integrity if we went the way that they did.
it was a risk. Yeah, it would have put us up for a risk.
And that's one thing we hold above everything else is our integrity in our hunts.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, we're done. We have news.
Yes, I
We
have
do.
a little news.
You have a little news. Okay, I'm going to play Racer's intro because it's all I got. All right.
Fine.
So instead of Racer's, actually Wicked Windy. So hang on.
Yes.
Welcome to Post-Mortem, the latest paranormal news with Racer.
Is an orb, what we call an orb, that's going to come right across the other bed and just kind of disappear right at the camera.
You're going to see the shape around the corner which resembles a face.
Oh, pardon me, that's your ass.
We have to dig from here so as not to be seen. Come on, bitches.
All right.
All right. So they're trying to start a new reality television show. And this one's a little bit different because they are actually, it's kind of a cool concept. They're trying to do a reality show around real estate that's haunted.
Oh.
Haunted real estate.
Of course.
So they put this call out, and it says, perhaps you're sharing your home with forces from the spirit world. Maybe grueling murder took place years ago. The story still haunts you. If you're trying to sell your haunted house, we want to talk to you. So they have this whole site where you can do, and
I don't believe this. You know why I don't believe this?
Why?
This was totally, once again, ripped off from SGHA.
Mm-hmm.
A long time ago, in Rio Rancho,
yeah,
me and Bob got a call from this guy saying, my house is haunted. Can you guys come out and look at it? So we went, okay, tell us more about the property. Turned out to be, it's like a 200-year-old home, Spanish
Wow.
adobe. So we thought, okay, sure, we'll go out and look at it. Is it cool if I bring my own photographer too? Sure, no problem, dude, you can be there. Okay, what we did not know is this was a realtor who has decided to take an unusual means to try to sell his home, which has been on the market. He's going to try to pass it off as haunted, investigated by the Southwest Ghost Hunters.
Oh.
But one little problem.
Yeah.
It's not haunted. We didn't get crap. So, there you go. But it's just weird that was pulled on us, gosh, 7 years ago, and now they're trying to make a TV show out of it.
Well, now they're trying to make this television show out of it.
That's strange.
Wow.
Yeah. I just thought this was kind of cool. Yeah. Different.
Biggie said he's waiting for Paranormal Pickers or Paranormal Pawn.
Paranormal Pawn is already there. Lloyd Albright does that. He goes after haunted objects.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what that show's about.
Or
I can't remember
Paranormal
I don't think
Wars.
I've seen that one.
Yeah.
Paranormal Wars.
How about Sons of Ghost instead of Sons of Guns?
Yeah.
Paranormal Wars.
Yeah,
that's
he
been an
just put-
idea that's
yeah.
been pitched.
What, Paranormal Wars?
Paranormal Wars.
Team versus team.
Oh, ghost hunting teams going against each other?
Yeah, that's been
You know what,
pitched.
then? I actually see that happening, then. That'll happen.
No, it ain't. You know
Yeah,
what's going to
it could.
happen?
It'll happen.
Here's what would happen.
Deadliest
SJJ
Paranormal.
versus Group Z. All right, we show up. Tiny, Zero, get out. They beat the fuck out of them.
I
we
like
walk
how he
in, we get
immediately goes to
evidence. Well, too bad the other team didn't show up, bro. We win. That would be it.
Biggie, you took my idea right at the same time.
We've had 5 teams not show up this week, and it's always been on mere matches. What's up with that? Don't ask any questions, pal. Just start paying the loot.
Me and Biggie came up with the same idea at the same time. Hillbilly and Paranormal.
Hillbilly and Paranormal. You
Yeah.
have to elaborate on that. Just out of morbid curiosity, bro.
Yeah.
Well, you basically grow a bunch of fur about your torso area, crawl through a creek, and see if you can snatch up a cat ghost by the mouth. I don't know, something like that.
Paranormal.
You know how bad
Paranormal Shore.
Paranormal hand fishing. What does that mean, Biggie?
You haven't seen that show, Hillbilly Hand Fishing?
No, I
It's
have
about
not.
noodling. It's where you stick your hand into a catfish hole, and then the catfish bites your elbow, and you pull that thing out by its inside.
Pull that some bitch out right by
Right
the
there.
lips.
Good eating.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh my.
Next story.
All right.
Is that it?
That's all I had.
That's all we got. Okay.
I'm not Racer. I just found something that sounded interesting to me.
Racer has that stuff, man. She can like find.
I
the
know
weirdest
she can
news
find
pieces.
anything. I bow down to her and her ability to find paranormal news.
CFH, Billy the Paranormalist.
You remember when she brought up the butt plug Buddha?
Oh,
And
yes.
that-
Yeah.
It derailed
No,
the
the
whole
butt-
show.
Yeah, no, it did.
The
I
butt
didn't
plug
come up with
Jesus. That's the one
Blu-
I laughed
that
at.
was it, yeah.
It was the butt plug Jesus. Yeah. I mean,
Let's
the
not-
fleshlight
let's
was
not
fun
bring
too,
that
but
up
that
again.
one, you know.
That one actually derailed the
I
show.
don't want to know.
No one could recover.
I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I don't want to know about what you do with butt plugs and Jesus, okay? Don't want to know.
Well, you know, and she always finds things like, you know, I mean, you know, the demon that visits, you know, girl ghost
Orifices.
hunters on their period or something. You know, it's like,
Mhm.
you shouldn't go out. It's like, so then, you know, Holly and I are always joking on a hunt. So are you? Are you? Are we going to bring back a demon today? Yeah.
That's pretty horrific.
There's a lot of horrific things out there. If you
That's
just
all right.
look, if you know where to look.
I'm just telling you.
Racer sure knows where to look for those things.
Which is kind of scary if you think about it.
I know. It's like, yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, so I didn't go over everything. So we'll continue this next episode, the Ghost Hunting Secrets, and there's going to be probably a little mini-series of these.
This is fun.
So,
I like
but
it.
great job, guys, because, you know, it helps with everybody's inputting and adding things. It adds to the show. Also, those of you that want to add your comments, we'll speak on the air. I think the Hitman's full of crap, been drinking too much beer. ecto@gmail.com. Email us. Let us know what your opinion is, and you can say, don't mention my name, please. I'll be cool. I won't mention your name, but we want to know what you think. Okay?
That's right.
Ideas, anything that you guys want to put out there.
And if you're going to talk trash via the internet, please leave your address so I can come knock on your front door.
No.
I'm just kidding.
Not gonna
I'm
do
just
this.
kidding.
The Jay and Silent Bob approach of dealing with things.
Hmm.
It works.
What? Zero goes. That one?
That was a bird.
No.
No,
Little bit
not
of
that
music
one.
for you. We're going to be Little music break. We're going to come up with a paranormal hour. So hang in there, guys. We'll be back in just a few.